Welcome, everybody,
Hi.
with another podcast. So I brought a new guest, Deevoz. You don't know them.
Exactly.
Zen, can you introduce yourself?
Hello. My name is Zen. I'm a variety streamer and a VTuber on Twitch.
Nice. Well, we're very, very excited to hear about your streaming journey. So are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Go ahead. Deevoz.
Maybe before you jump into the journey, is there like more that we should know about you to begin with? Like a little bit of a picture of yourself.
So I suppose I can start by describing my VTuber character. My character is a blue-haired fox girl with two tails. Technically, I'm a kumiho, which is kind of like your kitsune, nine-tailed fox. But I have the choice of how many tails I can represent at once. So I choose two because I enjoy the character Tails from the Sonic series.
Mhm.
As my name implies, I am very sleepy all the time.
ZenButSleepier.
Mm.
So is
Okay.
there a reason for that?
Oh, just because I'm sleepy all the time.
Okay. So there's not like a condition on anything like that. It was just
None that I have currently diagnosed. There are some that I'm curious about, but I want to get confirmation from my doctor first.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
All right. So when you started streaming, what was your goal with that? What made you stream?
When I originally started streaming, that was back in, what was it, August of 2020. I was like out of a job. That was before the pandemic had actually started, was when I was out of a job. And I was home at the time, all the time. And my life was filled with either I was gaming or filling out job applications so I could try to make some sort of income because I knew the unemployment money that I was getting was not going to last forever. And I figured, since I'm already playing video games and, talking to people on the daily, I might take the opportunity to start streaming as a way to make new friends. That was my biggest goal, and still is, honestly, with streaming when I first started.
So how did that go? That journey? Let's jump into that.
When I first started, I hit affiliate on Twitch very fast because I had already met several people that were willing to support me and, happy to be there during my streams. But, shortly after I hit affiliate, I had some other things in my life come up that, affected my mental health negatively. And I was just like, I don't want this to be shown on stream. So I took a long break that was like 4 to 6 months. I can't remember the exact day when I stopped streaming. I know if I went to analytics, I could probably find it, but I knew I didn't want that to be displayed on stream. But then when I came back,
Why didn't you, if I can jump in, why didn't you want people to know, or is that something you didn't feel comfortable with, or?
It wasn't that I didn't want them to know. It was more so that I knew I wasn't going to, generate that same energy that I had before when I had first started streaming. Because if I get depressed, I get very quiet. I tend to lose focus.
Yeah.
And you can really tell. I don't feel like if I was a viewer, I wouldn't want to watch somebody that was like me when I was depressed. Okay. So, I like to, when it comes to my mental health and how I'm feeling, I like to put myself in the viewer's shoes. Would I like to watch me like this?
Yeah.
And I also value it's very important to make sure you are taking care of yourself, whether physically or mentally. That's like a big important thing. Otherwise, like if you're feeling burnout, whether it's with streaming in general or with just whatever game that you're playing, you know when to take breaks. It is very important to take breaks. Sit back and play something else occasionally. The core members of your community are going to understand.
Yeah.
And some people will be there specifically for you playing that game, but other people won't. And those other people that are there for you are going to stick and support you no matter what you play.
True. That is something that, if I can talk about myself, is something that I had to learn. I always thought, like, okay, if I'm not streaming right now, then people will forget about me, or if I stream a different game, then people will not watch me anymore. And I'm really starting to believe now, also due to the podcast and all the different streamers that we talk to, that is not the case. That if people who like watching you for you will stay. It's the same with you, right, Deevoz? Like, you changed your game.
I mean, yeah, but I also took a pretty significant hit in viewership with doing so.
Yeah.
But
people
I
stay.
feel like yeah, some did.
Yeah.
Some did.
And I still see them.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, you do take a hit, I think, with viewership, but it also shows you like the core community members that really care about you, that want to watch you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know it doesn't matter what game you stream, Steamy or Steamy.
Steamy!
I can't words.
No, it's okay.
I'll still be lurking in your chat like I usually do. Sometimes I pop up and say hi, but usually I'm very quiet.
That means a lot, though. Thank you.
Usually when you're streaming, I always have I have several streams up to support, and I'll swap around between streams to see like who I want to say hi to, and if there's a conversation going on in chat, maybe I'll jump in here and there.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time when I am watching around the time that you stream, I'm working on other things, like I do graphic design and other things like that. I'm not like best at it, but it's one of my passions. I like it a lot. And having those streams up for me really helps keep me motivated to continue, designing graphics and such. Actually, up until, was it Tuesday, I want to say? Maybe it was Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember when. Of last week, all of my emotes were, well, except for one, were drawn by me. And
wow.
I think it was Wednesday was when I got new emotes back from a new artist. This was the first time that I decided, I'm going to branch out and actually commission somebody else for my stuff. My emotes were my pride then, and they still are. They just moved to the follower emote slots that have been sitting vacant forever. But
so, to get a little bit back on the journey, what happened after the big break?
Oh yeah, so after the big break, I had come back from streaming. I made a big thing about it, and it's just like, I'm finally going to be back. I'm excited, and I can't wait to see you guys again. And the big profuse apologies, because I did not think that it was going to take that long to get back to that, where I was stable enough to do things. I made a graphic of it. I can't remember where it's saved to save life. I did all sorts of things, and I just wanted to make it special.
Were you nervous?
I was very nervous. I had at first I thought only the 5 friends that helped me get to affiliate or that stuck around to make sure I hit that average concurrent viewership. were going to be the only ones there. But then I ended up getting raided by a larger streamer, actually, our team leader on the Wild Bunches stream. And I was like, that was the first big raid that I'd gotten. It was over 60-something viewers at the time, and I was afraid. You could hear the stuttering in my voice. I was just like, I was like, I wanted to be prepared, but I didn't think I'd have to be prepared for this. So I tried my best to, work through it, even though I was just like stuttering and shaking as I do when I get super anxious. But, I got through it. And I made a lot of friends through his community after that raid, and he started, raiding me probably once a week-ish. I tried to stream 5 days a week at that point in time, so I did pick up quite a few people from his community that hang out with me now too.
That's great.
Which is, it was really cool.
So do you consider yourself as a full-time streamer now?
I want to be.
Okay.
I did just take about a month of a break because more real life stuff, as well as some people in my community were making me a little bit uncomfortable. I didn't have enough time myself, it felt like. So I did take a little bit of a break for almost the whole month of October, just to get myself back on track. But throughout that month, I continued, planning and working on trying to figure out what exactly should I do for my stream that could make it better. I've had my ups and downs as well with being able to keep up with streaming throughout the past, I want to say, year and a half since I got back from the big break, because my physical health is not great either. Back in 2019, I was in an accident, and it screwed up things for me. That's actually why I was, out of a job. But I honestly now, despite financial issues here and there, I kind of see that as a blessing, honestly, because if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't have met so many cool people. They've honestly helped me out a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. It does make sense, even though it's a sadder story. Like, it's not something that is very exciting to talk about, but it did help you to go into streaming and meet a bunch of different people that helped you through your battles.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
It helped a lot, honestly. I feel like if I hadn't decided to take the step and actually start interacting in Twitch chats with different people and seeing how enjoyable streaming looked from their perspective, I wouldn't have wanted to do it myself. I used to be very shy and only lurk, and then I started talking, and then there was a point where I just could not stop talking.
So you learned.
It was exciting.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, and I learned a lot just by watching several other people.
True.
Like, I know Webb.
Yeah.
He was one of my first big supporters, and he still is. He still sticks around, and sometimes we'll play games together, and sometimes we'll do collab streams. It's been a while since we did, but when we did, it's very fun. But yeah, he's one of the ones that I took heavy inspiration from him and from Wes and several different people. And I also want to do my own thing as well.
Yeah. No, but I understand.
So,
you learn a lot by watching different streamers. You're like, hey, I can do something like that too, or maybe I should be a bit like that or something. Even though you stay close to yourself and true to yourself, you do learn a lot by watching other streamers.
Yeah, hey, I think Dixper kind of seems pretty cool. I wonder, I could try that.
Mm.
And I started playing with it with Fall Guys,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was a mistake. I have several good clips with Dixper, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah. Oh, Dixper's terrible sometimes.
It's so
swear.
good.
Oh.
But like, I get these ideas of, hey, I kind of want to try that from other streamers. And with Dixper, I've got it for a couple different games that I don't see in the streamers that I regularly play with. I used to do Minecraft on Mondays, and there's a lot of different cards for Minecraft as well that I implemented. I wanted to try it out, and I threw some free packs at people, and it was kind of exciting. Even though Minecraft wasn't really my main content at the time, I just wanted to have a server for us to have fun with. And, even through that, I had somebody who was looking through the Minecraft tab show up and start hanging out. And they've been very nice to me and always trying to stick around for my streams now. And I was just like, dang, even like breaking away from your normal stuff, which I used to do a lot of DBD at the time. You'll meet new people who will want to stick around even, when you're doing something else. And it's just like, that's really cool.
Are there things that you didn't expect would be difficult about streaming since you started?
That's a good one.
I know there's gonna be something, but I cannot think about it like off the top of my head.
Is it more like the consistency that was hard because you didn't want to? For me, let me talk about myself. Like, I need to be, with streaming, we all know you have to be consistent, right? And you said you took a couple months breaks or even just recently. Do you feel like that's what I feel? So, do you feel that, you are like disappointing people when you don't stream?
Sometimes. Yeah. And honestly, sometimes that contributes a lot to, the bad mental health. And I'm just like, just thinking, I need to come back sooner or later, but I know it's not time. But it's just like this endless cycle of, I know I need to, but I know I can't right now because it's going to be awful. And
it feels like a pressure almost.
Yeah.
That is something for me that it feels like it's like a pressure sometimes. Like, you have to stream because otherwise you have to start over, and you worked so hard already. So that is something that really is for me a problem.
That was one of the things that I was afraid of actually last month when I did take the break.
Yeah.
I was, genuinely afraid, okay, not many people are probably going to show up, no matter, what I do. So, just like trying to brace myself. And at first it was only going to be 2 weeks. And then I just like, no, I'm still not ready. I extended it to 4 weeks. I set it in stone that I would be back on Halloween. I can't miss my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
And then a few days before, I was already like, should I keep the extension or should I come back?
Yep.
And then, I thought about one of the things that I wanted to do. It was Nostalgia November, where I would go through and play games from my childhood. And I was like so rooted in, I want to do this. Like, I felt like, not like I had to do that for, my streaming career, but more so I have to do this for me because I planned this. This was going to be something fun that I wanted to do, and I'm going to do it. And somehow that, kicked in and kind of motivated me. Although, the people who were, getting a little too close for comfort started to back off at that point. I think they got the memo of, hey, please, I need space. family issues started to, stop going. Right now I have some stuff going on in the family that's really been, taking a toll on me. But everything just kind of finally calmed down at that point. And I knew, I'm ready to come back. And, I'm hoping to actually, be able to stick to a schedule without having to, take constant breaks. I took one day off of my normal streaming week for the time being, so I can, have a little bit of extra time to myself, time to work on different projects that I want to do, like, new redeems. I'm always trying to think of new fun things for streams. Like the one that I made recently actually crashed my OBS for the first time the other day.
We never like that. OBS crashes is not nice, okay? Like, that is horrendous.
It's awful, but it was kind of comedic at the same time because I'd had several people use the redeem with no problems, and then one person who has a track record of every time that he uses a redeem for the first time, it breaks, comes in and uses it in the middle of me playing. I think it was Farter 2, and it's like I'm just sitting there with the box that's whoops, OBS has crashed, and I am laughing my ass off. Stream kids don't hear this. Because if I, as soon as I clicked out of that, or not out of it, but clicked back onto the OBS window to fix the game audio, then it actually crashed.
God.
So if I would have sat that window there for the entire rest of my stream, I would have been fine.
Yep.
However, the game audio broke, so I couldn't do that. It's kind of also moments like those that keep me going too. It's like, if I just stop, then I'm never going to have those moments where I am losing my voice because I'm laughing so much at something ridiculous that happened.
Well, that's a good thing, though. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I do kind of have a question. Is there, because I don't know anything about, I mean, I kind of know about it, but VTubing, right? Is there a reason why you chose not to use a webcam, but chose like a character, if I can call it that? Or why didn't you choose to just not use anything and just your voice? Like, is there a reason? Did you thought that out? Or is that like something that you feel comfortable, I don't want to say hiding behind, because it's you, but it's like, you are the character. You understand what I'm trying to say? So there must be a reason of why you chose to do something like that instead of like a webcam or without anything, really.
Well, I actually used to use a webcam back when I first started streaming.
Okay.
Throughout the whole first year of me streaming was with that webcam. And if you went through my clips, you could find some. Unlike other VTubers, I didn't go and delete everything that is me IRL. Oh no, I'm breaking your immersion because of an old clip from forever ago. But I started to get sick around the end of last year. And so I started, instead I was using the reactive images, which is just my character up on the screen.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was too sick to show my face.
Okay.
But I wasn't sick enough that I didn't want to stream. But I still wanted some form of representation. My best friend had saw, how much more talkative I was with that. But I feel like, me personally, I feel like I was more talkative because I was at that point a little more used to streaming and more comfortable in the zone with it. The last time that I actually used my camera was last Halloween of 2021. But I started using the reactive image, and because she saw that, she decided she wanted to get me a gift for Christmas.
Oh.
My first VTuber model. And originally it was going to be a half body model.
Mm-hmm.
But another friend of ours chipped in, and so I was able to get a full body for my very first model.
That is amazing.
I started using that, and I loved it. I immediately saw there were so many things that I could probably do with this that would be ridiculous. Like, I have a scanner thing that'll, it'll stop the image where the scan line is, so I can make weird looking faces with it.
Yeah.
And it was just like the amount of things that I could do with that model kind of motivated me.
Were you like, did you feel more comfortable? If you look back at it now, yeah.
But kind of, but I also still have a feeling that a big part of that was probably because I was like so used to streaming at the time.
Yeah, so
when
it's
I
like a
started
combo,
using
maybe.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably a bit of a combo.
Okay.
What would you say is the most important things you have learned during this time of being a content creator?
Most important things that I have learned, I feel like, is putting your health first, your mental health, your physical health, and whatever. I feel like that matters so much more than worrying about growth. Is making sure, hey, I'm still going to be physically okay to do this. I'm not going to get burnout. Like I mentioned earlier, burnout is a huge issue, and it's very, very hard to work through, especially if you see you're hitting big numbers with one game, and there's probably a lot of people that come to see you exclusively play that game if you're only playing one game. You have to know when to stop, and you have to understand that, yeah, your numbers are going to take a hit, but you need to do what you want to do.
True. That does make sense. But did that affect you in any way when you saw, like, did it affect you, Deevoz, when you changed your game and then you had like lower numbers than normal? I mean,
at first certainly. Absolutely, yeah. But the thing is, if you like decide to change your game for good, you also expect it. So you're not getting surprised by it, and the impact is like you're kind of braced for it.
Yeah, but don't you feel like really shitty when you get that email from Twitch or whatever, and then you see it and you're like, wow, did I make the right choice?
It's kind of sad. Yeah, I think the only mistake I made is basically starting to do solo DVD ever. Like that was the initial mistake, not the changing ever.
But yeah, but did it affect you in any way, though, Zen?
Yes, I used to primarily stream Dead by Daylight, but I used to, like, occasionally I would do a variety game, but when I was, like, early on in streaming, when I had saw that my numbers were a lot lower with whatever my variety game was for that week, I stopped doing variety. I started doing exclusively Dead by Daylight. And I ended up to a point where I was kind of frustrated with it. Because a lot of the time when I would be playing, I didn't really have too many people to play with. And those that I did usually would show up later. There was one day where this was earlier this year before I decided to go full variety.
Okay.
I was playing DBD, and I had gotten so pissed off because I was just like constant loss after loss on Killer, and then I decided to switch to Survivor, and I was just like getting tunneled out so many times. No matter what my build, I said, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I decided to stream one variety game. I was still, like, at the beginning, I was still fuming, but at the end of the stream, I had 100% in that game, and it was honestly one of my top 5 games of this year that I've played. And like at that point, it kind of clicked that I really need to do more variety and more than just Dead by Daylight, because DBD bad. I don't like me being angry is not the center of my content. It is not like something that I want to be a part of my content at all.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what
the person that I am.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody sometimes struggles with. That while playing DBD, you get agitated, and that is something that you don't want to put out there in the world, you know, like because we're not like that. But yeah, I think Deevoz, you had the same thing, didn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I occasionally try to stream it. Last time it lasted like 12 minutes. Yeah. Then I turned it off and played something else again. I don't know, something about this game. You felt better
when you changed it, though.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Like I did not get like, I never get to the levels of, I don't know, frustration with any other game that I've played since then. Yeah. Like it's just unhealthy for me personally.
For you personally, yeah. Then I have another question. So you're saying that, so okay, can I ask you, is streaming or being a content creator, is that your dream to be? Like
at this point, I'm so far into it and I am enjoying it that I kind of want to stick with it for as long as I can. I've always been trying to think of what could help me grow, but not like take me out of my comfort zone type thing. And I feel like my biggest struggle right now has been consistency because my health was so bad. I mean, it's not great, but I've been recovering and I feel a lot better now than I used to. I am a lot more confident that I can be a bit more consistent.
You sound very positive, even when talking about something that is extremely hurtful and negative. You sound very positive, though.
Yeah, I try to look at things with a, positive mindset. Like, okay, this is bad, but I know things are going to get better. Life has ups and downs. Like, I could fall down the stairs and break my leg tomorrow, and I'll still be like, okay, this sucks right now, but I will heal and I will recover. And speaking of my legs, that's actually part of my issue.
Okay.
But I always try to think of, okay, this is temporary. It's not going to last forever. And I used to it was very, very hard for me to finally get into that mindset, but I did. And I like to keep that mindset. And I try to, if somebody's upset with something and they come to me for support, I will try to, reiterate that it really does suck right now. And I understand it does suck.
Yeah.
But it is not going to stay like this forever. You will recover. You will get out of it. Sometimes it does take a little bit of a push from somebody else. And sometimes it does take, finding ways to motivate and push yourself out of that. And that pushing yourself out of that rut is probably the hardest.
Probably. Yeah.
And honestly, that's probably been my biggest struggle. Is like I constantly think of, what if nobody shows up? What if people don't like this redeem that I just made?
Yep.
What if people really just don't like this game? And you never know if you don't try.
True. And but you're staying very positive, and I think that is huge, honestly. Like what pops up in my head is that that I kind of want to ask you, is it sometimes very hard for, you say you have your own issues, right? You have with your mental health or with your body. So is it very hard? Because it can be very hard for me, especially with the mental health part, that people go and turn to me and ask me for advice. Like, for example, I'm in a very positive mindset and I feel great, and then they come to me with something very bad or something very heavy. Does that affect you in any way when people do that?
It can be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, I I've lost my favorite person in my life. It was my grandpa. I lost him when I was like 13 or 14. It's been about 10 years now.
Okay.
And that severely impacted me a lot. So when, especially with death, people will come to me and they'll be like, oh, I just lost my stepdad, my uncle, this or that, and they were very close. I will, think back to, I also lost my favorite person.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a struggle, and you can definitely hear my mood change. I absolutely, it's like the worst thing if they bring it up during a stream.
Yeah.
It's much worse than off stream.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be on my mind for a while, and it you'll hear the mood change, and I don't like that. New viewers will pop in and they'll be like, oh, this streamer sounds sad, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah. It happens to me a lot that people do that. So pretty much they call that trauma dumping into somebody's chat. Does that happen to you as well, Deevoz, or not really?
Yes and no. Like, as far as I know, trauma dumping means if someone that is not part of your active community does it. I've had that once or twice, and I'm usually saying, sorry mate, this is not free healthcare here. Which ends the topic rather quickly.
Yeah. But still, doesn't it affect you even though they said something and you're like, oh?
Honestly, not really, but that's also because I'm working in the field, so I'm used to it.
That is true. Yeah, maybe you're have a bigger shield or something.
It's more of a way of knowing how to deal with it mentally and internally.
Yeah. When that happens to me, I'm like, oh god. Oh god. I'm like, oh no, why would you do that right now? We're playing DVD, we're having a good time. I'm finally feeling okay, even though if I'm struggling and I'm putting up a happy face and I'm really trying, and then somebody comes in that is affecting me terribly, then I'm like, but why did you do that?
I've actually had to stop streams a couple times because something that has been said or something has happened. There was one time, so right now, I'm going to be honest, me and my mom are not getting along. She sent a long wall of text at the beginning of one of my streams back in September. And I could feel myself shaking and very upset. I was sad, but I was also full of rage. And I was just like, I can't do this. I cannot stream for you guys today. I apologize. Yeah. I was maybe an hour into stream. And normally I try to stream about, between 4 and 6 hours. I was just like, I know I can't do this. I need some time to myself. Or, time to, talk with somebody that's really close to me. Like one of my, I have 3 best friends that I, regularly will talk about things. And they'll vent to me too, because, we've gotten to that level of comfort with each other and we understand, boundaries and consent and whatnot.
Yeah.
There was another time where somebody had, it wasn't them pointing out my biggest insecurities. They were just, asking about things, and specifically asked about my voice. That's been my biggest for a while.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like
what do they
lots
ask?
of people genuinely asking me what all I'm insecure about, and I've had pictures of myself on my Instagram that used to be in my bio, they were asking me about my weight and stuff, and it was just like, I'm not insecure about my weight. I am overweight. I don't care. But like then they asked how I felt about my voice, and I just like I kind of got silent. It's just like I don't know how to answer this.
So weird.
I want to be honest with you. I hate my voice. Most people do hate their own voices, but I feel like it's a bit to a level that sometimes, like, if somebody points that out or asks me if I am, it's gonna make me uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it's understandably
and I
so.
just like sat there thinking that I already wasn't having a great day to begin with,
and then that happens, and then
And it's just like, I sat there thinking about that for like a half hour, and I was quiet, and one of my regulars asked me what's up, what's on my mind, because they had just got there. And, I honestly told them, I was just like, I'm just like, somebody came in here and asked some questions that kind of made me uncomfortable. Like, yeah, if you ask about my disabilities, I will, I will be open and honest about them without it affecting me. But if you ask about that one insecurity, you're really going to get to me. And I know maybe I'm having a little bit of a risk, talking about it, but it's something that I've got to overcome at some point. So it is, I guess, a risk worth taking. But but I do fully understand that everybody gets their voice, even the ones with the voices that I wish I had. But eventually I'll learn to love it, just like I've learned to cope and deal with my legs being trash.
Then I have something else, because we talked about family for a little bit. If you're comfortable sharing, how did your family feel? This is a question Deevoz normally always asks. How did your family feel when you said to them, I'm a streamer, or I'm a content creator? Did they support that, or were they like, what is it, and why are you doing this?
Initially, they tried to be very supportive, and I was excited to share new things with my family, because like they'd show up in my streams, and then I get really like I get into a game, and I swear like a sailor sometimes, and things will be going great, chat's moving along like it normally does, and then somebody from my family will comment from, like, my mom has a Twitch account. They'll comment, "Oh, I'm gonna get the bar of soap if you say one more swear again." It's like, okay, I am a grown adult.
Yeah, please.
Making my own choices. And even though I'm not like saying it in a negative, I want to hurt somebody's sense, I'm still going to swear. It happens. I will die in a game, and then the F word comes out. I like to call it the fuck word because it's funny. But I never use it against somebody in a hurtful manner. And it's just like, why should it matter? You guys used to swear in front of me. And I didn't even know you were in the chat until you said something just now.
Understandable. So if there's one thing you could, like, I mean, we kind of had the question before, but maybe it's different in terms of answers. If there's one thing you could teach your earlier self about streaming, what would that be, to wrap it up a bit?
This is a hard one, honestly.
It is. It's like, is there anything that you wish you knew before you started streaming? Because all of us learned along the way. I wish there was a guide sometimes that would teach me,
Oh yeah.
you know, like, okay, I get a hate rate, what should I do? You know, or I get somebody that is really, really mean to me, what should I do? You know, stuff like that. Or like community members overstepping their boundaries or falling in love with you. I don't know, like many, many things that I wish that had an entire guide with answers. But there is none. There is none. And I had to learn the hard way, very, very hard way. And I think with you, Deevoz, I think that's the same thing, that you learned certain things that you wish you knew before.
Absolutely.
So is there anything, Zen, that you can think of that you're like, yeah, I wish I knew before, so that I could avoid it to ever happen?
I feel like maybe being more clear about my boundaries in you know, making it very obvious what, you know, what will actually push me, because, you know, boundaries being broken last month was, or well, more September, was kind of the reason why I took the entire last month off.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to deal with that. I shouldn't have had to deal with that, but, you know, I did. And, you know, also, you know, not being afraid to take the plunge into, you know, doing more variety was another thing that I really wish that I would have understood early on. That, yeah, it's going to affect my numbers, but I should not be afraid of that, because the core people are still going to be the ones that are, you know, the ones that are supporting me and respecting me. And I know as a small streamer, a lot of those core people are my only subs right now, which is, you know, I've got no problem right now. But, you know, understanding that, hey, you're still going to have that core support.
Yep.
You're gonna be fine. I wish that I could have, you know, told myself that back when I swapped from DVD being a game that I streamed. Thought that was a mistake.
Okay.
Right.
Is there anything else you would like to know or want to share?
I can't think of anything else.
Is there any advice you want to give any streamer right now that is watching, or any person watching?
Oh, I mean, I suppose, you know, being yourself is very important. If you're trying to be somebody else, it makes things a lot harder. Yep. because that's stepping into somebody who's not you, and things will get a little unnatural. Yep. Like, obviously, you are allowed to keep things private. Like, you know, nobody knows my relationship status except my very, very close friends. You're allowed to keep that private. But, you know, still, to an extent, be you.
Okay, I like that one. I think we can wrap it up with that one.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and sharing your journey and story. And we will see you soon again.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's very
so
fun.
I'm glad. Thank you so much. Deevoz, thank you so much again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.